What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. NTG here with another episode. If you're new to the channel, hi there. Today I have right here the OnePlus 10 Pro and the Google Pixel 6 Pro, and I want to compare the two because these, out of the Samsungs and the Apples of the world, these two devices are priced at the same price, and they're kind of the most familiar, and they resemble each other the most, I guess, because of that pricing. But we're gonna dive more into it, from design to camera to software and all of that stuff. But before I do begin, I just want to talk about these wallpapers really quickly. At the time of this recording, I am launching my brand new wallpapers. It's called Dots. I'll be leaving links in the description down below if you want to help support out the channel. I am currently working on many more different wallpaper packs, so definitely be sure to subscribe and stay tuned to the channel to check out my other new wallpapers coming in the near future. It really does mean a lot to me. A lot of you guys are asking about wallpapers, what wallpapers I use. Up until now, I used an app called Backdrops, but I've always wanted to create my own wallpapers, and here they are. This is on the Pixel 6 Pro. This is the yellow wallpaper Dots, and this is the purple on the OnePlus 10 Pro. I'll be leaving the link in the description down below if you want to support the channel. Anyway, let's dive right in. Okay, so let's first start off with design. We can definitely tell they're both different in design aspects. Now, starting off with the OnePlus 10 Pro, we're getting this kind of, OnePlus took homework from Samsung and decided to have a whole new camera module set up for the 10 Pro when you compare it to last year's OnePlus 9 Pro. And that is okay to copy, but it is what it is. So here it is. It's a really tall device. It comes in at 6.7 inches Quad HD 120 hertz LTPO 2.0 display. So it can drop from 1 hertz up to 120 hertz, and that's really good. But it is a little bit more narrow and taller than the S22 Ultra. And that's how it feels good in the hand, though. I love the satin black. I really do like it. It doesn't attract any fingerprints. Now, the camera module set up right here, it does attract fingerprints, as you can tell right here, but that is okay. It comes with the triple camera setup as well as a flash right here that stands for P2D50T. I talk about that in my full review of what it actually stands for. It's got some Hasselblad branding right here on the side. And then we have the power button on the right side along with the mute switch. This is, please, all Android devices take note of this. I mean, iPhone has it too, but this is just amazing. You can switch from silent to vibrate to ring. It's just so much simpler and easier. I hope more Android devices, more Android OEMs take note of this. The left side, we got the volume button up and down. On the bottom, we have USB-C, a SIM card slot, as well as a set of speakers, and then a second set of speakers in the earpiece right up here. We do have our front-facing camera that I personally don't like of the placement. It's placed in the top left. I kind of wish it was placed in the middle. Again, it is what it is. I really miss OnePlus 7 Pro. I think that was, that was top-notch OnePlus era. Like, that was prime, where it had the mechanical pop-up camera. A lot of people don't like it, but I personally loved it because it gave a more fuller experience, if fuller is even a word, a more full, versatile experience of using almost a full screen. It does have curved display, but it's very subtle. It's not, as dramatic as it was in years past, but once you hold it in the hand, you're really going to like it. It's a large display, but doesn't feel too large in the hand. It actually feels quite comfortable. I like playing Call of Duty on this. Now, when we take a look at the Pixel 6 Pro, they're both glass, but this is just a satin finish. The 6, Google has went with a whole new design approach, and that's a huge plus from Google. I actually really do like this Pixel 6 and 6 Pro design. You see his camera bar, it's a Pixel. It's got a dual tone finish. This is I believe the Sunshine. I think it was Sunny Gold, or I don't remember the exact naming. However, it's got that gold hue to it, and it's a little bit more darker and lighter on the bottom, darker on the top. It's got this black camera bar with a triple camera setup, as well as a set of flash on the side. The right-hand side has the power button as well as the volume buttons. I've been using phones so frequently at this point. I personally like having them both on the same side, but it is what it is. OnePlus has it, volume on the left and power button on the right. That's okay. On the bottom, we're getting a set of speakers, USB-C, and then on the left hand, we're getting the SIM card slot. And then if I can just clear out my notifications real quick. We are getting a also 6.7 inch Quad HD AMOLED 120 hertz display, and we have the front-facing camera right here in the center, which is, I think, the perfect spot to put a front-facing camera. Now, the one thing I do want to talk about, and I'll probably actually end up talking about that in software, the curves right here are also not as dramatic, but some people still don't like the curves. That is okay, but I really like the approach that Google has went with Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. Having this design really shows, like, when you're using this, hey, you know he's using a Pixel device. I actually really do dig this design. It's a really reminiscent, when I use it, it has a more boxier feel. It's really reminiscent of the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra or the Notes of the world. And it's something I personally do enjoy. But design-wise, they're really dramatic, but it's kind of preference. Which one do you like? Now, they both have glass backs. They both support wireless charging. So there's all of that good stuff here. But in design-wise, I feel like OnePlus is a little bit more, they're not making any huge changes in design, whereas Pixel, Google has definitely went all in with design, and this is a really original design for them. Whereas you'll see OnePlus take design cues from like Oppo and other different companies, and they share a lot of designs too. So this is not really that original as Pixel 6 Pro. I just personally like Pixel 6 Pro's design over the OnePlus 10 Pro. Again, it's your preference, but that's my choice. Pixel 6 Pro, I think, beats it out in design. Okay, so let's talk about software. We know how software works with both OnePlus and Pixel 6 Pro. Pixel 6 Pro is, Google's stock Pixel launcher, and OnePlus 10 Pro, well, there's been a lot of thing of OnePlus using ColorOS code from Oppo, and you can kind of see it here with Oxygen OS. It is Oxygen OS, and there's a lot of customization with Oxygen OS 12, but it's just not the same as it was in past years. And I'm starting to slowly like Samsung's One UI better than Oxygen OS. But here it is. Here's Oxygen OS. And like I said, you're getting a bunch of customization features. You can change your icons, the layout, transitions, even more. And Pixel 6 Pro went all in with theirs. They have Material U. This is the Pixel launcher, and you're not going to really be able to get it on any other phone like a Samsung. You'll get like Material U because that's an Android 12 thing. But this Pixel launcher, you may not be able to get these widgets that you see on the 6 Pro. Overall, simplicity and more like a more minimalistic look, which is my preference. I think Pixel 6 Pro looks better in software. And there's also one thing I do want to point out too is the fingerprint sensor. So let's turn both of them on. And I mean, looking at a first case, they look fast, but when you actually play around with Pixel 6 Pro, it's not as fast as OnePlus. I mean, OnePlus is a little bit more accurate too. Pixel 6 Pro just takes a second or two, and it might not show its true self on camera, but for some reason, whenever I'm off camera, I always struggle with Pixel 6 Pro fingerprint sensor. It's gotten a bunch of updates to improve it, but it just hasn't done really well. So just do keep that in mind. OnePlus does have Face Unlock too. Obviously, it's 2D, so it's not going to be as secure as Face ID on the iPhone, but nonetheless, it's still there. It's an option. Pixel 6 Pro has been rumored to get Face Unlock with a software update, so as of right now, we don't have that, so we're going to be getting that soon. Now, before I do continue into the performance, just want to give a shout out to this energy drink, Ghost Warhead Sour Watermelon. Definitely take a look. I've been really enjoying these Ghost energy drinks. Don't overdo them, but definitely try it out. It's actually really good, although my favorite is the Red Berry Sour Patch. Anyway, getting back into the performance, they both perform like a champ. They really do. Day-to-day use, they're awesome. Now, Google comes with their own inbuilt silicon, Google Tensor, and OnePlus 10 Pro comes with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. 8 Gen 1 is a little bit more powerful if you take a look at the numbers, but in day-to-day use, you won't notice any difference. Now, my Pixel 6 Pro and all Pixel 6 Pros ship with 12 gigs of RAM. This one has 120 gigs of storage. You can get a model with 256 gigs and 512 gigs of storage, whereas the OnePlus 10 Pro, you're only getting 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. Especially if you're in the US, this is the only model you can get So there's no 12 gig model. Like my OnePlus 10 Pro from 2019 has 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. Is it something you should be worrying about? Not really. Maybe the storage in the coming years, but RAM, not too much. However, I should be nitpicking at this point. I mean, you're paying a premium of $899, so you should be able to nitpick, especially when you're comparing the two devices. So it's really up to you whether you want more RAM and more storage. Then you're going to have to opt for the Pixel 6 Pro. But like I said, day-to-day performance, they really do perform like a beast. No issues there. When we come to software updates, it's looking like well, Google has confirmed 3 years of software updates and 5 years of security patches, whereas OnePlus 10 Pro, we're probably going to be getting 3 years of software updates. But I kind of wish they both went after Samsung and kind of took note from them, because they're offering 4 years of software updates. We're holding onto our phones. These are really good flagship devices. We're holding onto our phones longer than ever. And each phone upgrade, each phone cycle is more of an incremental than a massive improvement. Therefore, I think we should be getting more software updates. So if anyone ever watches this, please, let's push out not 3, but 4 years, maybe even 5 years of software updates. I mean, it really would go a long way. People are just not upgrading to the latest and greatest as much, because if I wasn't personally reviewing devices, I'd still be using my OnePlus 10 Pro 3 years later. It just goes to show how really good the software, the performance, the interior, or the specs and whatnot of the phone are really good. That's why I'd still keep it. Nonetheless, performance, they both perform like a beast. Software, I'm just gonna have to give it to Google just because it's a little more simplistic. Like, I'm not going to details, but just my preference. I like the material hue and changing of its colors, the wallpapers and styles. It's just a little bit more minimal on this end. So Pixel 6 for me is the way to go. Now let's talk about cameras. So for those of you who follow the channel, you know I'm not a big smartphone camera guy. I'll just take out my phone and hit the shutter button. That's it. Like, I'm not going to go into ISO and exposure and all that stuff or go into pro mode. These phones will have those features, and especially OnePlus 10 Pro, they're adding a bunch of new. I feel like more and more every year, more and more OEMs, they're talking more about the cameras, but it just doesn't really intrigue me too much. They both take great photos in daylight, and I'll be putting up sample photos and you can take a look. They both perform really well. However, I can just genuinely rely more on Google. Their computational photography is just amazing. And this year with Pixel 6 Pro, after so long, they finally updated and upgraded their actual hardware. Up until now, they've had decent hardware, but it was showing its age, and they've been relying solely more so on its software and computational photography. But this year they actually went and upgraded to a new camera lens, a 48 megapixel, or I believe it was a 50 megapixel. Don't quote me on that. Let me know in the comments down below. And it's definitely shown improvements over like Pixel 4 and Pixel 5. In day-to-day, photos, it's really good. Night mode, I still think Pixel 6 Pro is the king. I mean, OnePlus 10 Pro does come with a bunch of new features, 150 degree angle. If we can go to more, let's see, we'll go to 150 degrees. There's a fisheye lens. There's an actual wide that looks like a GoPro. So if that's what you like to take pictures of, then there you go. It's right there. But that's just something I wouldn't do. I'd literally take out my phone and, click on the shutter button, and that's it. As for video, they're really good in video, but still, I kind of go the route of Pixel. Pixel is definitely improved with video performance. And for those of you who are probably going to get into, let's say, making content on social media, whether that be Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, or even just YouTube videos, for example, whatever it is, I'd still say go with Pixel 6 Pro. It's just integrated much better. It's much easier to create and make videos and take photos and whatnot. There is a lot of improvements. Like, I'm not diving into the details, but there is a lot of improvements with the 10 Pro. You're not going to be getting a bad camera. That's not my point. You're going to be getting a great camera with the OnePlus 10 Pro, and a lot of features too. In fact, this has probably more features than the Pixel 6 Pro, and it takes into some integration with Hasselblad with their partnership. It has a Pro mode partnership. It has dual view video. It's got movie mode. It's got time lapse, long exposure, although Pixel has long exposure too. It's got a bunch of really good features. but it's just something I wouldn't look for. I just look for simplicity, and I think Pixel 6 Pro offers that simplicity. So for me, Pixel 6 is still the way to go. Okay, now let's talk about battery life and just battery in general. This one is definitely going to the OnePlus 10 Pro for sure, all the way. So they both come equipped with a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. However, in normal day-to-day use, I mean, I am a heavy user, and I can tell you right off the bat that the OnePlus 10 Pro does last a little bit longer than Pixel 6 Pro. I'm barely making it through the day with Pixel 6 Pro. OnePlus lasts a little bit longer. They're mostly getting around 5 hours, but OnePlus can reach up to 6 hours on a heavy usage. But the thing here that OnePlus really does well is charging speeds. Now, OnePlus's charging speeds are amazing, and they're even better if you're using an international model. So the North American model comes with 65 watts super VOOC charging, 0 to 100% in 35 minutes. And that's actually very true. So you don't need to worry about charging this at night. Wake up in the morning when you're getting ready for the day, taking a shower, whatnot, just throw this on charge and you're all set to go. If you have the Super VOOC wireless charging, that's about 50 watts of wireless charging. That's insane for wireless charging. And that 50 watts of wireless charging is faster than, I don't even know the wattage on the Pixel 6 Pro. It's just like, they call it fast charging, but it's not fast. I mean, if I charge for half an hour, I'm not getting 100%. And I'm definitely not getting like 50%. So come on. I have to charge my Pixel 6 Pro at night. But with OnePlus 10 Pro, I don't need to worry about that. And even with my OnePlus 7 Pro, I never had to worry about that either. You know, charge it for 30 minutes, I'm all set to go. OnePlus 6T, also 60 watts of fast charging. I didn't need to worry about any of that. So I think, you know, with battery, OnePlus has some really good things going on. And it looks like they're going to keep on pushing with, they're releasing phones in the near future with 150 watts of fast charging. That's crazy. That's crazy fast. Literally, that's crazy fast. How healthy is it for your battery? That's a different topic. But nonetheless, like, I think you want to have a fast charger. It's so much better to have a fast charger. Once you start using it, at least, you're going to miss it when you stop using it. But for those of us who are, you know, in the office or always near a charger every day, Pixel 6 Pro is going to perform fine. But if you're always like out on the go and you just can't rely on it, and you only have, you know, charging accessibility once a day, the OnePlus 10 Pro, by all means, is the way to go. So for battery performance, battery life, I think OnePlus 10 Pro beats out Pixel 6 Pro in a landslide. And last but not least is going to be the price. So let's put it right up here. I'm going to put up prices right here in the middle if I can. So OnePlus 10 Pro, North American model, you're getting only one configuration, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage for $899. Pixel 6 Pro, 12 gigs of RAM, 120 gigs of storage for $899. 12 gigs of RAM for 256 gigs of storage, an extra $100, $999. And 12 gigs of RAM with 512 half terabyte of storage for $1099. You have more options with Pixel 6 Pro. Which one do you want to go with? Fork over an extra $100 and get more storage. Pixel 6 Pro, I think, is going to be the choice for you. That's just how I see it. That's just how I see it, because you only have one configuration with OnePlus 10 Pro. Now, did they price it well? They priced it pretty well, but I just don't really agree with having one configuration. Comparing to last year's model, it's priced well. No, the 9 Pro was priced at what, like $969, and they only sold like the 1069 model here in the US, which was really awkward. But now they have a flagship phone that's under $1,000, under a K. But there are rumors about a OnePlus 10 Ultra. I don't know how true that is. If it does come out, then I'll definitely, we'll have a different conversation, different video, different topic. But looking at these price points, you just have more variety with Pixel 6 Pro. So I'm gonna have to choose, you know, Pixel 6 Pro for that reason. All right, and my final thoughts about these two devices. Let's start off with OnePlus. OnePlus is kind of, they're not the flagship killer anymore. they aren't. And I really do miss OnePlus. I believe OnePlus 7 Pro was its prime. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to compare OnePlus 10 Pro with OnePlus 7 Pro, like a 3-year difference in pros. Let me know if you want to see a video of that in the comments down below. But really, OnePlus is just not the same OnePlus anymore. I really hope that they, seek out, obviously they listen to their customers, but I hope they start taking in more feedback and go to their original roots of being the flagship killer. I know it'll be more difficult nowadays, but please, I hope they offer just more innovation and a much better experience, because this phone doesn't really excite me like it used to. It's just not the old OnePlus. It's a good phone. It's a great phone, but it's just not the old, OnePlus. And this definitely would not be my first choice of a smartphone to use. Pixel 6 Pro. I've been following, Google Pixel since they first released and before with their Nexus devices, but they have done really well with Pixel 6 Pro. Now, if you notice, I didn't talk about the software bugs going on with Pixel 6 Pro. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen with a lot of smartphones. Unfortunately, it's happened more often with Pixel 6 Pro, and that's just how it ended up being. But it's okay. It's still okay. After all of those bugs, there have been so many bugs that a lot of other people have gone through that I have not faced yet. So that's a huge plus for me. So with my experience, I haven't really faced too many issues with bugs. The main one was just the fingerprint sensor being really, really slow and unreliable. Other than that, not too much of an issue there. But I think Google has gone in the right direction. I hope they continue doing this. They should go all in, hardware, software, everything. I know it's going to be tough for them, but Google is going in the right direction, and I hope they start to realize that. They're listening more and more to their customers too, and I hope Google also ends up becoming like an ecosystem with their watch, hopefully coming very soon at the time of this recording, and hopefully they start branching out into more and integrating their ecosystem even more better than how it is currently. But for me, between the two devices, I would definitely choose Pixel 6 Pro over the OnePlus 10 Pro. Anyway, that's been it from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to superman that like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel a lot and will help push my content out to more people. I'll catch you guys later.